Did you get that? All right.
Are you guys doing LCS order?
Yes.
Okay.
RPL all. All right, you guys all in there correctly? Boom, 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 boom. All right, I am going over to my team, and you should be good to go. So you guys can start whenever.
You ready, Spouter?
1 second. Trying to figure something out. Okay, screw it. Let's go.
All right, welcome viewers. We are here with our inaugural Hall of Fame kickoff game for the RPL. This is something new that we're starting for this season and something to look forward to at the beginning of each season. Getting a group of the Hall of Famers together to play a fun exhibition match, best of 3, and we are getting right into picks and bans. Today, my co-caster is Spoder Juan. I am Toe Knuckles, and we're about to break down the action for you. Right away, we get into picks and bans. We got Ari and Amumu. And how are you doing today, Spoder?
I'm doing good. I don't think Snowflake Gecko is going to be playing Ari at all this series. They're clearly banning her out. The Lux ban too.
You expecting to see an Ori ban coming up after this? I know that's another one in her champion pool.
Yes. I'm curious to see what they ban away from Panthers or Team Blue, I should say. Ooh, they banned the Renekton away from Striker instead. Alright, so we have the...
I'm sorry, I was going to say they can't go too heavy in bans against Panther because Panther and Batman actually have a very similar champion pool.
It's interesting to see who they ban next. I'm expecting the Orianna ban. They banned the Sejuani away from TSM Batman. He will not be farming wolves when Baron is up today. At least for this game.
That does leave open Gecko's Orianna though, so let's see what the first pick is, and it is the Warwick for Panther.
The Mumu ban and the Zac ban, they needed to first pick Warwick for Panther. That's definitely one of his most vital champions.
Definitely, he can play as a teammate of his. I know he can play more than those 3, but there is a distinct difference between his top 3 and his S tier and A tier, as I believe they break down the rankings. And we see on the other side Fiora and Cho'Gath coming out.
Taking the Fiora away from Striker. I'm not sure if Foley plays that. Let me do my research on it. And according to my statistics, he does not have any ranked games with him. So this will be interesting to see what they do. Definitely one Striker off of Fiora. He's a ticking time bomb with him. He's rather 8-0 or 0-8. So they clearly didn't want to flip the coin with that, and they wanted to put Foley on it.
Striker does play a very consistent Gnar though. I have seen other Gnars in RPL be a little bit more impressive, but it is a champion that Striker can perform well on and can contribute to his team. And just as we predicted, there is the Orianna for Snowflake Gecko. Is it going to get locked in though?
I'm thinking so. It's also worth mentioning Rooter has gotten his Tristana. Definitely his best AD carry. So it's a huge win for the blue team. And now we'll go into the second ban phase. Can't talk.
Now, are we going to target Eternal Shadow, or are we going to target Anger Ranger here if we're team red?
Definitely Eternal Shadow. I'm seeing an Azir ban and a Syndra ban, 100%.
Your Emperor shall return.
Good call on the Azir ban, and
I'm curious to see what the
fools.
Ooh, they banned the Vayne away from Zerobi.
Now the question is do they send a ban at Silver Spade? His Rakan, his Bard, and his Thresh are all very good champions, so it's a question of do they let him have one of those or give him this pick and throw another ban at Zerobi?
I'm questioning banning 80 carries away from Zerobi. I think it would be better to stall Zerobi out and just ban out Silver Spade. I definitely would have went with the Rakan and the Thresh ban if it were me. Because Silver Spade had an extremely good showing with Rakan in the grand finals.
It is one of his better champions. That Nunu, that's an interesting hover. I don't think it'll be a support Nunu. And it is the Ezreal locked in for Zerobi.
I got carried by Zerobi playing Ezreal in Invasion, so I 100% approve of this pick, even though I hate Ezreal as an AD carry. Pretty much as a champion. I don't know why people play it, but we will see. Anger Ranger plays Braum, and that's actually her most played champion. So this pick makes sense. And let's see what Eternal Shadow will be playing. Zareth?
Zareth might be a little tough into a Fiora Cho'Gath, but it does give him some good presence in lane as he does outrange the Orianna and kind of gives him a chance to scale well into the mid and late game. And let's see what the pickup's going to be for Silver. I'm hoping it's either his Rakan or his Thresh. His Bard is fun to watch, but he's just such a playmaker on both the Rakan and the Thresh.
Blue team has drafted quite a dive comp. The Gnar, the Braum, the Warwick.
And we do get to see
and
the
we
Bard.
do see the Bard on Silver Spade. Okay. Wait. Oh, it's not Ezreal Jungle. They're not going to get me with that. This isn't Korea.
Now, just looking at the comps, just a standard question is, who do you favor based on the compositions?
Honestly, I feel like Blue Team won this draft phase, but we will see. I don't know how Orianna will be able to utilize her Shockwave efficiently, because you have Cho'Gath who's going to try to munch on the backline, and Fiora's basically going to split push or flank.
Now, the thing is it's not a standard ball delivery for the Orianna, but once that Cho'Gath gets his Righteous Glory completed to where he wants to pull off the combo of Righteous Glory ult on the back line, it does also give her a ball delivery to kind of get in there. The interesting thing is coming from someone that it's coming from someone that plays a lot of Orianna, that can get disrupted in several ways. If they put counter pressure back with the Warwick, or possibly land a stun with the Zareth in that few seconds, it can cause some disruption and make that not as clean of a combo. I also do like Blue Team having the traditional Zeal AD carry, while Ezreal is strong out of the jungle and he's not a weak champion. I think it just takes away a lot in the current meta to not have a Zeal-based AD carry.
Yeah, you have the bot lane on Team Blue on 2 comfort picks of theirs, so that alone, I think, will help them stall out the laning phase. Unless, like, Zerobi, I'm pretty sure can make plays, and Silver Spade. Like, it's an even matchup because Zerobi and Silver Spade, I believe, have the skill, but Ruktor and Anger Ranger have the comfort.
And Ruktor is used to playing these late game scaling AD carries to where he's used to just kind of surviving the lane phase, absorbing the pressure of the enemy bot lane, and then just popping off at the end of the game. So it'll be an interesting matchup to watch. But the support matchup with the melee versus ranged with the Braum versus Bard, I definitely think it favors the Bard. So we'll have to see if Silver can kind of bully them out of lane and delay that Tristan is scaling as much as possible. Now, what's your key matchup as far as you think this game is going to be won or lost? Which role do you think is going to be the most influential in this game?
The jungle position by far. Whoever out jungles and has the better laning phase between Panther and TSM Batman will decide the winner of this game, I believe.
Just looking at the comps, if I were Batman, I think knowing that I have a really strong bot lane and an early pressure bot lane, I think I'd put my pressure up top, to kind of get that Fiora steamrolling, just to make her a beast and try and get her ahead in the split push to make her to where they have to devote multiple people to shut her down and stop her. Striker did get his Gnar though, so he can always just wave clear under the tower and kind of absorb the pressure of the Fiora. So
the one vital thing that when it comes to the top lane is Striker needs to make sure that he properly manages the wave, because as a ranged champion, you do not want to be pushing your wave into the tower. Like you said, he would be open to ganks because Gnar's E cooldown, which is his jump, is 20 seconds until you get to level 3, and the cooldown, which still, it's a pretty long cooldown. And he's going to be very open to ganks. So one rupture, and he's dead, basically. However, Gnar was Striker's best champion this last split.
I was gonna say, on the flip side, I do think Warwick provides a little bit more to a gank than a Cho'Gath does. Cho'Gath's knockup is a little bit more unreliable, and that Warwick ult, if he can time it right after Striker hits 6 and basically set up Striker to get a Gnar ult into a wall, they can really layer their CC to punish the Fiora as well. So it'll be interesting to see which path the junglers take and see how this game unfolds as we really get out there and get it into it.
And here we go. Game 1 of this best of 3 Hall of Fame series is underway. And it looks like... Alright. Getting vision on that brush. Kind of a counter invade.
Both teams posturing around the river. It's gonna be interesting if they come close to seeing each other but never actually do, although Ezreal did just walk across the board. They know he's there.
Ooh, the disrespect. I think he did that on purpose. They're both just, it's a turf war right now between them. Well, they're both preparing for the counter invade.
It does look like we're going to get a Raptor start from Batman and a red start from Panther.
Minions have spawned.
We have Foley sitting at tower.
You got to guard that.
The blue buff.
You got to guard that tower, man. You can't let your opponents get that one chip damage in there early.
We have TSM. I like the Battle Cast Cho'Gath skin. That's the one I personally use when I play him.
I like the Jurassic one, if I'm being quite honest myself, although Snowflake Gecko does have the Orianna skin of choice.
That's Darkstar, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I bought Darkstar Kha'Zix today. That was a good investment on my behalf. Now moving on. It appears that Panthers is going from his red right to his blue. Meanwhile, TSM Batman, who just finished his Raptors, will be going for the red buff.
Panther could be looking to get an early gank out just because there is the whole red-blue Gromp start to get a good early gank on the top side at level 3. And we see the bot lane, as we talked about in the draft lobby, kind of already poking and punishing the melee and early weak laning of that combo in the bot lane.
They're pushing the bot lane in. Ooh, TSM Batman is going for the early gank on the Eternal Shadow. Flash blown, but is it enough? Oh, he goes. First blood Cho'Gath. And he lives.
He didn't even get the return kill. Scraping by with one tower hit left on his health bar.
Very interesting first clear that TSM Batman did. Raptors red and then a mid gank. That's very unfortunate for the Xerath. It's going to set him back quite a bit against the 3-time Hall of Famer Snowflake Gecko.
Yeah, and it's really tough for Azera too, just because he really wants to abuse his range and kind of punish the Orianna's range deficit. But if Orianna has the level lead and the item better, more efficient buys, it's going to make Azera's life a little bit more difficult, and he's not going to be able to punish Gecko as hard in the areas that he should have a power spike. And it looks like we have TSM Batman going for a return gank. He hits the rupture.
Oh, very unfortunate. The camp has been set up. It looks like TSM Batman is heading up to the top lane. Are they going to wait out Gnar's transformation, or are they going to go right in? Fiora is quite low, so it's going to be hard for her to counteract the game.
They're getting a lot of damage.
The rupture was missed, but they were still able to get the kill. TSM Batman is all over the map right now. Ganks galore on his part.
Panther is farming a little bit ahead, but I wouldn't say that the 4 CS lead that he has is justifying the amount of pressure that TSM Batman's putting on the map.
You have to think of it this way, though. He's already won mid lane for Snowflake Gecko, and he just put his top laner ahead as Fiora. 2 strong picks now have the lead. So hopefully Panther will add some resources to the bot lane or will help the Xerath and the Gnar out.
Panther also is on that Warwick, and though he does have more gank pressure since the rework before 6, you really find that his most effective time to gank is once he has that ultimate. And so it'll be interesting to see what he does with that first ultimate to see if he can get his team back in the game. But as we look at it right now, we're 5 minutes into the game, and Team Batman, I guess we should say. I'm going to get the red and the blue confused, especially once we swap sides, just being honest. But TSM Batman, he's got his team out to a comfortable gold lead already, looking at about a 2k gold lead at just 6 minutes.
Do we have Snowflake Gecko making a own bot lane? No, just getting a deep ward into the jungle. He wants vision from that blast cone radius.
And I love that ward. It tends to stick around for a long time, although it does look like Panther's going to spot it out right away.
Oh, he walked past it. He saw Cho'Gath on that ward. It looks like they're fighting in the jungle. Or he will make the rotation over, and she will get the kill. And then we have Anger Ranger in some deep trouble.
It just seems like Team Batman's always just one step ahead. We do have a 3-man group controlling the dragon area for Team Batman.
Silver Spade is just getting some meat. Some little chimes.
And as that duel between Fiora and Gnar goes on in the top lane, it was very close, and you have to believe that the reason it was won by the Fiora was because of that early gank from Batman. When it's that close, that small lead already paying dividends for her.
I actually missed that. Looks like we got the... It was a very well played Fiora outplay from Foley. The W on the Gnar stun absolutely destroyed Striker. Well played by Foley.
And TSM Batman steals the red buff and he heads to the bot lane, gets a rupture off on the Braum. You see the heal come out. Braum flashes the Q to make sure that him and Triss don't get stunned up. So Batman already blowing summoners in the bot lane, his first time down there, and that's a pretty big ordeal, considering it is a Triss with a jump that can't get out of most situations.
Tristana will she'll grab the DF sword, dagger, and a health pot. Very standard back for Tristana. I think laning phase is going exactly how they want it to for the blue team. Just farming it out, trying to get items so they can carry the game. Zerobi is low on mana. I don't think he's able to finish clearing that out. So the wave is actually in a very good position for the Tristana. I think they were trying to stop. She was trying to stop Ezreal's back.
We see Panther getting a kill on his teammate Silver Spade, double kill on the Snowflake, and the teleport comes in to get the return kill on Panther. We see Batman coming in.
And then a double kill right back for the Fiora. But Anger Ranger hitting Batman with the hands. Look at her go.
Boxing match, here we go.
And then the Chilling Smite. But here's Ruktor. Ruktor is heading for Batman. No, 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 no. We won't get him, though. Wonder what Anger Ranger's doing. They going. Ooh, they got this. They got the stun on Lee, and it looks like Fiora will be shut down.
Panther coming in to get that kill contribution. Maybe bites off a little bit more than he was wanting to. Couldn't hand that over to Rookter. Just wanting to get the assist, but ends up taking the kill.
Since I've started playing jungle, I can confirm that it was probably worth taking the kill away from Rooktor. Here's why. You have to see the bigger picture. He's adding more gold to the blue side total trust fund. So instead of like Rooktor getting the flat 274 gold from that, he gave Rooktor 150 while he got the 274 gold, which is an even bigger deficit than what Rooktor would have got by himself. All in all, I would say it was worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just saying, in that moment, wanting to spread the gold around and whatnot, probably want to give the gold to your AD carry if you can help it, but in a split second moment like that, you just do what you got to do to get as much gold on the map for your team as possible. That being said, we did wonder what Panther was going to do to counteract the early aggression put on by Batman, and it looks like he has gotten himself heavily involved in the game post 6 with a score of 4-2 after being shut down early. He's really doing a great job keeping his team afloat after a rough early game and making sure that this is going to be a good game that isn't just run over by the red team's early lead. Speaking of the early lead, blue team has closed the gap from 2K to about 1.4.
That would buy you a raw rune and old school RuneScape. So they're definitely trying to overcome the deficit. I wouldn't say they're completely out of it. Striker was able to gain some sort of an advantage in the top lane since Pharaoh was gone. And it looks like he's trying to fight, but he misses the Q. He's not going to be able to get the kill.
In the mid lane, we just missed Eternal hitting Snowflake Gecko up with a bunch of his skill shots. Got her really low, but couldn't find that ult to finish off the kill. He did force her back out of lane, and we have TSM Batman covering to make sure that he doesn't get to press any further advantages other than picking up closing the CS gap while she's gone.
It looks like Striker's going to get first tower top lane. That'll be very good for him. And for the blue team.
And he didn't even have to split that. He didn't have to call his jungler up there to help him. So that first turret gold going completely into Striker's pocket. And that'll help balance out the 3 kills that Fiora has gotten on him. That in combination with the CS lead. So
Fiora overstaying mid lane definitely put Striker back into the game because he has the XP lead right now.
We see Warwick ulti on the Ezreal.
So
Down goes Ezreal.
And they want more.
Cho got chomps on the Braum.
Ooh. Double kill for Panther. TSM Batman misused his Devour. He wasn't able to fully consume Warwick. You have to question going for the Warwick when he has that much sustain when he's low to begin with.
I thought he chomped the Braum, and the Braum was low. But either way.
Let me replay this.
It looked like he chomped the Braum and the Braum flashed out. But either way, that leads to another tower for the blue team. And it looks like they're going to be able to pick the dragon up off the back of that too.
My apologies, it was the Braum. It was a very good heal from Rooktor that saved Anger Ranger's life.
But just kind of taking inventory after that last play, blue team does now have the lead for the first time in the game. The Tristana and Braum lane that we alluded to earlier has done a very good job of hanging in there and weathering the early pressure. Part of that is the help that Panther had, or Panther has given them in the bot lane. He has put a lot of pressure down there to kind of counteract the pressure that Ezreal Bard can dish out in the early game. Striker did give up a bit of a CS lead, his CS lead when he did TP bot to kind of help make the team play. And everything's looking fairly even across the board, except for the CS lead in mid is pretty drastic, along with her 2 kills. It is really setting Snowflake Gecko up to be a force, as always, coming out of the mid lane.
Looks like TSM Batman's going for another gank bottom. Pull off past the board. At this point, I think you play around Rift Herald. That's the only objective you can get, especially if you're blue team, because you already have the bot lane tower gone and the top lane tower gone, so they have more map pressure. Looks like it's a battle of vision control right now. It's the calm before the storm, if you will.
Striker is pushing down on that mid lane turret, trying to get the last outer down for the blue team.
Zero will chase them off, however. Now that Meganar is down, I wonder if Red Team will try to start something. Ooh, a well-placed run ult from Silver Spade.
Zerobi did eat 2 or 3 of those Xerath ult charges. Panther's the first one to die in this skirmish. Striker hasn't gotten here yet, while Foley is down here.
Striker's slow to react on that. I believe he came down here too late, so it's going to be hard for him to do anything.
Getting chased down by Foley and Silver, poking him off, making this turret defense really hard, although it is a Xerath and a Tristana. Even though the Xerath is we can probably help clear one more wave out.
If I'm blue team, I just give up this outer turret.
I think so too. I think that you gotta make the call that the resources that you're giving up in other places aren't worth trying to save a half health turret when they're committing so many resources to trying to brute force it down.
Rootor is able to poke down slowly. Looks like they're going back in. They're trying to make Red Team pay for overstaying.
Nice stun by Silver Spade to stop the engage on Panther's part.
Also a very well placed Braum ult, or not Braum ult, Bard ult to get Rootor and that.
It's true. It's amazing just the little plays that are being made within these skirmishes. You can tell why all these players are Hall of Famers, even when they're on the back foot. Players like Eternal are still being able to poke out Snowflake Gecko, and the game is very even. It's a joy to watch, that's for sure.
Looks like they're sieging mid tower. Some good damage on there. They got the shockwave out from the Orianna. I don't think Red Team can hold this.
Not with the Ezreal bot and the Fiora at top. The 5-on-3 is just too much, especially with the poke.
They got the Braum ult added to that. But at this point, it's not even worth trying to waste a shockwave and your ultimate. Especially with the Tristana with Static Shiv. 5-on-3, there's nothing you can do.
They're queued up his ult, but didn't fire it off.
Maybe he hit the wrong button?
Ooh! A big 4-man Braum ult.
Very well played from Anger Ranger.
3 kills already down. They're going for Snowflake Gecko to finish it off. It is a 4 for 0 in the favor of the blue team. And what will they get on this? Are they going to go for
That was a very... What a Braum ultimate that was.
That was a good Braum ultimate. Great plays by Anger Ranger. Looks like they're going to get the mid lane inner turret while I believe Fiora just soloed the Rift Herald. So...
Infernal Dragon is up in 5 seconds. I'm sure they're going to back off. Definitely really good for the blue team. They got the 4 for nothing pick, and then they're going to get the second tier mid tower and Infernal Dragon. They took firm control of this lead.
Ezreal did help with the dragon take by firing his
cloud. My apologies.
Did help with that dragon take by firing his ult to check while the red team makes an aggressive call to go for Baron. While most of the blue team is backing, I do believe that they'll get this without much contest. Braum's trying to do what he can, but just a lone Braum isn't going to be enough to dissuade them.
Very good call for Baron. Red team definitely making something out of nothing. What should we call blue team and what should we call red team, or Team Striker and Team Foley? Like,
it was the top laners that drafted, correct? So, I mean, Team Strikers, Team Foley seemed appropriate. I also was talking in some of the chat earlier about naming it Team Rising and Team Premier, but that might be a little bit harder to follow. So I like your idea of just calling it Team Striker and Team Foley, since they were the 2 captains that drafted up the teams.
Alright. Definitely a good call from Team Foley, making something out of nothing. Taking advantage of Team Striker backing. This game's deadlocked even. So what do you do now if you're the blue team? Or, yeah.
If you're the blue team, I believe that they have the right idea right now, just kind of grouping us 4, making it hard for the red team to siege. Although a Bard ult will set up a nice shockwave for the Ori. It was just unfortunate that both those players had flashes and were able to get out of it. Strikers headed down from top lane, but Mega just ran out. Dropping the Rift Herald on top of their Baron, it's going to make hard for the blue team to stay here and defend.
I don't think it's worth trying to stick around for the outer. However, it looks like Team Striker is going to make some pace with this. TSM Batman will go down. Foley will go down. They're just cleaning up. They're used by Snowflake Gecko. Zerobi will go down. Can't let Root go on Tristana, man.
As we see, the pregame lobby we were talking about champion strengths, it is the comfort picks that are coming into play. Panther did help carry the early game for his team, made sure they stayed afloat, but now it's that bot lane that's coming into play with the comfort Braum, that set all of that up with the 4-man Braum ult in the jungle by the red buff, and just led to play after play. And it is looking like comfort picks are weighing a little bit stronger in this matchup.
Definitely well played fight on behalf of Panthers. But they got the pick on Eternal Shadow.
They donated that one over to the Fiora, trying to make him stronger in that split push.
Just looking. He was going for the tier 3 tower. It was questionable.
This late in the game, as a mid laner though, you can't really be that far up by yourself. Big shockwave pulls in Rookter on top of the Bard ult.
That's huge. I believe that's an inhib for Team Foley.
I believe so too. Eternal's gonna be up to help wave clear. Looks like they're gonna back off. not quite confident in their ability to crack the inhib tower against Azereth and Striker's Gnar, who has done very well for himself quietly, but he has gotten himself back into the game very nicely after giving up 2 kills early.
Zerobi trying to juke out the Xerath ultimates. But when you have Gnar auto-attacking you with his boomerangs, there's only so much you can do.
Putting that frozen mallet slow on top of the edge rail, making Eternal Shadow's job a little bit easier to land those ultimates. We do see Fiora's got a pretty nice wave in the top lane. It looks like she's going to start shoving it in. She does have to be careful though, because her team can't provide a lot of pressure without Zerobi being on the map. It does look like the first Infernal Drake of the game is coming up, and I do think that will be a hotly contested objective, considering how back and forth this game is. It could give one team a pretty big edge. Neither team really has solid vision around that objective right now, and it does spawn in 2 minutes. So it would be time to kind of maybe start moving those pinks that we see at their blue buff and in their jungle, moving that ward line forward and kind of gaining control of that area if you're the red team. If you're the blue team, it'd probably be nice to get more than one pink ward on the map right now.
They do have one, but it's kind of in that irrelevant spot. It's behind the wolf camp. We do know that TSM Batman likes to go for wolves when there's an objective up, so maybe it was a good one to have. We have the bubble that's gonna catch. Ooh, what a shockwave from Snowflake Gecko. There's in the back lane.
Team Foley kiting this out, trying to get damage as they kite. Team Striker is coming in full speed ahead. The full health Bard is just doing work.
Rooster went down. Blue team has to back up.
Sneaky quiet damage from the Bard did help doing that kiting.
That was brutal for Team Strikers. When you have a dive comp and your front line is diving the back line, you have to give the Tristana some extra support. Otherwise, you're leaving her up. It's easy pickings. Very unfortunate. Infernal going over.
Silver Spade really showing off on that board. He's landed many good ultimates this game. That one was a 3-man ultimate to set it all up, allowed his team to plenty of time to kite back, reset the fight, disengage the dive, while they hammered down the frontliners. And Foley was able to do work in the back line against the Tristana. And off the back of that fight, they did get the coveted Infernal Drake as well as the last 2 remaining inner towers. So we will see how Team Striker tries to bounce back from this, with Baron being an objective on the map. They have taken a 6k gold lead on the side of Team Foley, but I would say that this game is still able to be swung with a well-executed team fight on the part of Team Striker. Far from over.
That was quite the throw, however. Tom Brady would be proud.
Very true. It was a pretty big misstep on the part of Team Striker, and they are now reeling. Instead of being able to trade blow for blow, they kind of are on the back foot now.
That puts Team Foley in prime position to get Baron.
We are now just under 30 minutes into this game. It's time to take a look at the items for both teams now, and it looks fairly standard across the board. We do have the Righteous Glory. I'm surprised that the Cho rushed the Warmongs over the Gargoyle Stone Plate. That is something that you combo with that typically, but it does look like he's building into the Stone Plate now. As we see a great Bard ultimate come in and hit 3 people. Panther trying to play frontline and protect for his team. Hits the ultimate, but it is on the Cho'Gath, unfortunately. He's going to be able to absorb it really well. They're firing his ultimate.
Very interesting turn of events. The Bard ultimates and the Shockwave are really paying dividends for Team Foley.
Snowflake and Silver are comboing their 2 ultimates that are big as far as their impact on team fights really well. And the entire time, Team Foley has been doing this 4-on-5 while Fiora has been just split pushing away, getting the inhib, cracking that inhibitor line, and really gonna open up the map for Team Foley.
I just realized that, yeah, that was absolutely huge for Foley to split push. And the fact that Team Striker lost that is very disheartening for them.
To look back on this game, it seems like it all turned on the back of that Infernal Drake fight with the key Bard ultimate that kind of just disengaged the fight, allowed his team to cut it back. He hits another good ultimate on Xerath and Rom, I'm sorry, he is the Bard. And Team Striker can't do anything but fight back from their base, trying to delay the inevitable. But it does look...
Striker gets the shutdown on the Orianna. And it actually looks like Ruktor is going to be able to clean this up.
Batman's sitting there putting up quite a fight, but he did run out of mana and just wasn't able to get the damage out that he needed to. They did that entire thing again without Zerobi, so they are fighting fairly even in these 4v5s, but at this point, I think you just got to call for your team to group up and take the game home. We see Panther pop
Baron.
Ghost.
They have to get Baron right now. They have to rush this down. If they do not get Baron at this point of the game, they lose. I like this call.
Bard does have his ultimate. He could cause some finicky games, but does not look like he's going to go that way.
Very good Baron call on their behalf. No vision around the map. It'll help stall the game out when Team Foley tries to finish. Travel done. Looking at the items, looks like Snowflake Gecko is going to try to build that death cap.
We do have the stone plate finished for Batman. It's gonna make that combo even more devastating.
I like the Death Dance and the Ravenous Hydra on Fiora. While we were discussing the items, Team Foley was able to secure that second Infernal Drake. With their team comp, that's extremely good for them.
Oh, absolutely. With the Orianna, that power right there, even the Ezreal ultimates are going to be highly impacted by the second Infernal Drake. And the Fiora, your split pusher. I don't know if I would group her with the team, even though it would, you don't have either inhibitor up on either one. I think I just have her ushering the minions in the other lanes, creating that pressure, making it a little bit easier for the rest of your team, because she's not going to really be able to hit the turret either.
We're going to be dancing in the bottom lane right now. The Xerath ult will be used.
He did get a couple hits off of it, but it's not going to be enough to really chunk the team Foley to dissuade them from continuing this siege. Right now,
Ooh, that Q, however, hurts Zerobi.
But we start to see the double lanes of super starting to pour into the base. And as I said, there is Foley kind of ushering the minions in, just putting in that extra pressure, allowing his team to get some chip damage on this turret. Cosmic Binding misses from Silver. Is Foley gonna get a solo kill? Nope. Striker has to use the ultimate just to knock him away, just to keep his health bar from going to gray screen.
We see the Bard ult. He has Root Door once again. He is insane.
Oh, Panther is on Snowflake.
On Snowflake, and she will go down. This is a very good spike.
GA pop for Foley.
Mistime stun from Striker, but Foley will still go down. And they will back off. A 3-for-1, or 2-for-1. They didn't kill Silver Space. Not yet, anyway. I'm curious to see curious to know why Team Foley stuck around.
Oh, Rooker's gonna get the reset. Silver says, I'm out of here. Goodbye, Zerobi.
Very unfortunate. Rooker has to stop chasing Zerobi. Looks like Silver Spade got away. If they would have stuck to a target, they would have gotten one of those kills. However,
at the same time, 2 inhibitors did respawn, breathing some life into Team Striker and making this game a little bit further from being over, giving Team Striker a chance to come back. We are approaching that threshold in the game where death timers are going to start to get long, and so if you have multiple members off the map, it could mean a devastating turn of events for your team, even if you are currently in the lead.
What?
Sorry about that, viewers. We did have a guest join us that was not aware that we are casting the Hall of Fame game for you right now. A little bit of confusion, but we are right back to the action. Snowflake Gecko.
Striker with the Rainuin's Omen. Looks like he's going to build Thornmail next.
Snowflake Gecko did finish that death cap. Her ultimates are going to start to have a lot more pop now that she's got those 2 big power spike items with the death cap and the void staff together.
I personally detest that choice of the death cap. I would have went with the Leandri's Torment personally, with the extra DPS. However, as a wise man once told me, follow my dreams.
In this particular game, since you don't have any huge beef eater type tanks like the Cho'Gath, since you have the Cho'Gath on your team and you are playing against him, I do like the death cap. You are just looking to pop someone as fast as possible. We do see Panther get onto Zerobi, who does cleanse it with the Mercurial Scimitar. We see the Orianna ult come out on just one person who is already dead. Rookter is going to have a chance to clean this fight up, but he does get popped by Foley.
It looks like Team Foley is finally gonna wrap this game up. They're gonna just focus on that last Nexus tower, focus on the Nexus. Looks to be 39 minutes even. Team Foley takes a 1-0 lead.
So they are gonna swap sides, and we are gonna bring you the second game in this best of 3 series to see if Team Striker can bounce back or if Team Foley will be able to close it out. What are your thoughts on that game overall there, Striker?
Striker. I'm Spoder.
I'm sorry, Spoder. We just kept talking about Team Striker and Team Foley. It's that repetition of saying the same names over and over. So, what are your thoughts, Spoder?
For Blue Team, it was unfortunate how they were able to turn the tide around and they were able to take firm control of the game until one fight threw it all away. It reminds me of a great quote from Chester Bennington, where you come so far and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Oh my gosh.
That definitely applies to Team Striker. I believe that Team Foley played the matchup quite well. The macro decisions that they made, going for the Baron right after, like they stuck the Baron right after Team Striker all backed. That was huge for them, and they were able to make some picks and were able to take the game over. Foley, despite no previous experience that I saw in his OP.GG with Fiora, was absolutely insane on that champion. So you have to wonder if your Team Striker, if you take that away from Foley, or if you ban it away completely. On the flip side, if I'm Team Foley, I would keep the same bans, but I would take Tristana away from Rookdor.
I don't know about necessarily. I think the difficult thing is when you're playing the Hall of Fame game, is there's so many powerful picks that you have to consider, because you talk about games like this and you say, well, you know, you take away the Fiora, but then that opens up possibly either the Ari or the Lux for Snowflake Gecko. They didn't even ban out Silver Spade, and he punished with the Bard, and he has two other really good champions too. So I think what you have to, identify is, hey, these are my comfort picks. Okay, how do these picks work together well? And you kind of have to do a quick brainstorm and think about what you want to do as a team and how you want to identify your win conditions as a team, and maybe ban out things that kind of make that difficult. For example,
I would, however, go ahead. I'm sorry.
For example, like if they would have left the Amumu open, you obviously don't want a Poppy in there, that can kind of stop the Amumu engage, or you don't want possibly even a Cho'Gath who can eat that Q bandage for his team and then just silence the Amumu and allow his team to disengage. It makes things really tough for you if you want to run a heavy dive comp. And so I think if talking about that game specifically, the Bard made things extremely difficult for Team Striker to really execute their dive comp, because he would disengage half the team every time Team Striker dove in. Half of them were getting disengaged with on the follow-up, so they couldn't all ever commit to 5 people. Spoder did have to step away for a moment, so it will be just me kind of talking about what went on in that game. It was interesting to see former teammates battle it out and watch Panther and Silver Spade go head to head. Speaking of, it does look like we have to get Silver Spade in the lobby. But overall, I think both games played it really well. It was really back and forth through a lot of the game, and it really showed why it was a Hall of Fame game. It was very even up until that one dragon fight, and then Team Foley was able to kind of just snowball off the back of that dragon fight with the gold influx from the kills, the power spike provided by the Infernal Drake, plus taking 2 towers off the back of that while gray screens were abound for Team Striker. That's really what blew the game wide open and ultimately kind of decided the game. And it was, again, just due to a difficult team to break through and get through that disengage that they provided with the Cho'Gath and the Bard. Major props to both teams, though, for a great game one, and I can't wait to see what game two brings. That being said, I am going to mute Mike for a minute, grab a drink of water. I haven't got a chance to get a drink yet. My throat is getting pretty dry, and I'm going to need to get that water before I start game two. Otherwise, I will sound raspy and hoarse by the end of the game. And I know that's fun, but not fun for me.
My apologies for being AFK. I had a disturbance outside that had to be taken care of. Moving forward.
Absolutely, that's not a problem. But for now, while I go get a drink of water to make sure I don't lose my voice in the middle of the next game, I am going to let you fill some airtime talking about your thoughts on the game, and I will rejoin you in just a second.
Alrighty. It actually looks like I won't have any my thoughts on the game because they're about to fire up the second game of this Hall of Fame series. Alrighty. So, I believe, in my humble opinion, if I'm Team Striker, I let Snowflake Gecko on her Lux.
Doki, just FYI, you're not allowed to be in here.
Neither are you. Get the hell out of here.
I'm a fucking management team guy.
We are on the air and you cannot say that.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. This just in, Striker 321 is now a free agent. His contract with Clorox Bleach has been terminated. Anyway.
Okay, I am back. Thank you for covering for me. It does look like both teams are ready. Let's go ahead and kick off game two since they're both ready. I'm assuming you're ready as well, Spoder.
I'm always ready.
All right. And it looks like a lobby was created, so we won't have those interruptions anymore. Thankfully, it was just the casters now. And that'll make things easier and less confusing for everybody.
It's good. Now we are all organized. We won't have the Discord notifications of someone joining and then leaving. We are ready. We are waiting for them to start. As I was saying before Striker moved on, I think you let Snowflake Gecko on Deluxe. Give her the option of picking it. Looks like Team Foley will once again ban away the Amumu.
It is a very powerful champion to set up a lot of other combos for your team. It does just kind of stick everyone in place there for a minute and allows follow-up. The Warwick can do that with one person, but the Amumu does that with hopefully at least two to three, ideally 4 people. Let's be real, 5-man Amumu ults are not frequent and you're doing something wrong if an Amumu hits 5-man ult. But that being said, we do see the Rookter getting banned out on his Tristana. They don't want to deal with it this game.
Zerobi having his Vayne ban once again. We have the Ari ban away from Snowflake Gecko. Pretty standard.
And what will be the last ban coming out for Team Foley? It does look like they changed things up a little bit. I haven't seen a Renekton ban from them yet.
I'm yet to see a Zac ban too.
Well, now I'm just mad.
I spoke too soon.
There is the Zac ban. And do they ban the Sejuani, or do they dare Batman to play it? Or first pick it, which I believe that they would.
They ban away the Lux instead. Okay.
There's the Sejuani pick. A very strong champion. I'm surprised that got through the draft phase whenever Batman does spam that champion a lot in his solo queue games. Are they going to reverse and get the Cho'Gath, or
Is this an Azir game from Eternal Shadow?
they did just
Possibly.
recently buff Azir, so anyone that plays Azir beforehand's got to be feeling pretty good. They get the Cho'Gath, and I can only assume that's actually going to be in the jungle, even though it is technically a flex pick. I think that's the reason why they hovered away from Striker picking it and letting Panther pick it, just because it would probably make sense to pick his own champion if they're taking it this rotation.
I could see that being a flex pick. Striker has been playing Cho'Gath top. Panther, I'm not sure if he plays it that much. I know he's played it some, looking at his op.gg.
Get the Thresh for Silver Spade, so
One
not
of the
gonna
better
risk.
Thresh player in this league.
They're not gonna risk him getting knocked off one of his top 3 supports. Gonna go ahead and grab something. It is a very flexible pick. Can be used for engage, disengage. Can set up picks. Can team fight well. Just an all-around good champion, and even better in the hands of a player like Silver Spade. And we do see the Syndra come out from Snowflake Gecko.
I was wondering if they were going to pick a mid laner this phase, because you would have to guess that if she did not pick her mid laner, the 2 picks in the next ban phase, definitely would have went her way. Definitely a power pick for Snowflake Gecko.
I have to admit, I've never seen her Syndra. I've seen the other 3 champions in her hands, so I am very interested to watch how this game plays out, especially in that mid lane, getting Eternal on his comfort pick of Azir and seeing Snowflake on a champion I have not seen her on before. It's probably going to be the matchup I'm probably most closely watching this game, being a mid laner myself.
Anger Ranger plays Bard. I'm intrigued by that. They will ban the Fiora away from... Looks like Foley. I actually thought it was Team Blue banning for some reason.
Chaos will follow.
The Renekton out of Striker's hands. They had a chance to pick that up in the first rotation instead of the Bard, but for whatever reason they didn't. They might be trying to save a counter pick for him. If I were Team Foley here, I think I'd ban away Rookter's Twitch. It's a very scary champion. It's, again, another hyper-scaling late game champion that he can perform really well on and have a huge impact.
I like the Kog'Maw ban. With the Sejuani being picked up, Sejuani is an AD carry's best friend. Offers peel, 3rd item Knight's Vow. What more could you want from a jungler? Am I right? Besides getting camps. Looks like they're respecting Striker with the Gnar ban and the Renekton ban in the second phase.
I do think you have... Oh, there it is. There's the Twitch from Rookter. Another new hover just trolling us here. That's another champion I want, or that's another champion in the hands of a player who plays it extremely well. I want to see how that matchup goes as well. I want to see if Rookter can... Not that he didn't have an impact on the Tristana, but I want to see if he can use that Twitch to get some assassinations and some picks to really open up a lot of other things for his team. And we see the Xayah getting picked up by Zerobi.
It's a really good bot lane for Zerobi and Silver Spade to have Xayah Thresh. Unless it's a Thresh jungle, which... that would be an unorthodox tactic. A Camille top. Interesting.
Striker showing off all the champions that he plays, hovering through top laners.
I think it will be the Rumble that he will end up picking.
I do have to say I do not like the Rumble here. I think it makes you very magic damage heavy and really puts a lot of pressure on Rookter to not only have an impact, but we are going to reset. But saying that, I think it puts a lot of pressure on Rookter to not only have an impact, uh, but to position very well in fights to not get picked off early because of the fact that he is the single AD source for his team.
It appears that we actually had a filler pick. It was not discussed before the game and probably shouldn't count. But since this is an exhibition, we'll just let it slide. We didn't see anything. But that filler pick was for Braum, which makes a little bit more sense. Because I did not see Bard on Anger Rangers OP.GG at all.
Let me get in there.
So while we wait for this to finish out, what matchup do you like here? Do you like the team that has Rumble, Cho'Gath jungle, the comfort pick Azir on a Total Shadow, Twitch and the Braum, or do you like Foley on Camille, TSM Batman on his comfort pick, Sejuani, the Syndra pick, and then the power pack bot lane, which is Xayah and Thresh?
I actually don't know which team I favor more here. If I had to pick, I would give a slight edge to Foley's team just because of the diverse damage composition between the you do have the magic damage from the Sejuani. Granted, I know she's not going to be your primary damage source. You're not really counting her damage. She's the tank, but it is extra magic damage, whatever magic damage she does. And then, you know, you have the double AD, double AP composition. And then you have a very heavily magic stacked team for Team Striker. That being said, it could work out in Team Striker's favor if Rookter gets ahead. Then it's like, well, do I build for the 80% of the team or do I build for the person that's carrying the game? And so I think a lot of this game is going to ride on the shoulders of Rookter, believe it or not, because of the way that the composition of Team Striker was set up. If Rookter can get ahead and really start rolling on that Twitch, force the Sejuani and the Thresh, even the Camille to an extent, to build armor, it'll really open a lot of avenues for the magic damage dealers to kind of support his efforts in carrying the game. That being said, they don't really have anyone to support the Twitch other than the Braum. And a Syndra just has to press R to make life rough for Twitch. So I'd have to say I favor Team Foley's team composition overall.
I like Team Foley here. However, you have 4. Rookter plays quite a bit of Twitch. Striker, the thing that fascinates me is he has a 75% win rate with Rumble and quite a bit of games. Definitely one of his best top lane champions. Foley, it looks like he has a rough time with the Camille. So that's the matchup I'm keeping an eye on. Camille playing from behind is really useless to a team. I'm interested to see if he gives Snowflake Gecko the same treatment as game 1 within the 2 ganks within the first 3 minutes of the game.
Honestly, I think you have to in that matchup because Azir's range is just, it's like almost the entire mid lane. I know it's not literally the entire mid lane, but it is shockingly long, and so he can put poke on Syndra without her ever being in range to touch him. Now that being said, if Batman can get Syndra snowballed to where she can ignore his damage while putting out her own, she's going to win the trades, and it's going to be something where Eternal has to play passive, and he's not going to be able to poke as easily because he can be punished quite a bit harder. So I think you follow up the same game plan you did last time. You get Snowflake Gecko rolling, and then you look to support your side lanes because Snowflake plays really well with the lead. If you can get her that early lead, you can kind of leave that lane alone. It won't really be something you have to worry about going forward. So
For the blue side, I really believe that their bot lane has a really good matchup compared to last game. The Xayah and Thresh is by far the best kill lane in the bot lane, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see what the power players can do.
I do have to agree. I like that bot lane a lot. The other bot lane I really like, the other combination is if you would have stuck a Jinx in there instead of the Xayah. I think it provides almost as much power. But having the Thresh there, if he lands the hook, gets the flay off, it gives Xayah plenty of time to get a bunch of feathers out while they're kind of just stuck in that one little area, and then her being able to root collar those back after she's been able to get more than just her initial 3 for the root, but to actually get the damage amplification off getting multiple feathers. I agree with you. It is a very potent combination in the lane phase, as well as throughout the game. Those two together can create a lot of picks, as well as team fight really well together. So, um, again, I have to give the edge in the draft. I think last time we gave the edge in the draft to Team Striker. We said they had a little bit more potency as far as being on comfort picks, flexibility with what they wanted to do with their team. I think we gave the edge to Team Striker, but this time I like the draft from Team Foley a little bit better.
I agree with you. I think you have every single member of that roster on a comfort pick. The only question mark that I really have is Foley on Camille. Now that can help or that can hurt Team Foley out. And that's where the gameplay and the execution comes in.
The thing about a Camille, though, granted, it is one of those picks where she is a carry champion, so if he's not necessarily doing well, it could be a detriment to his team. But ultimately, at the end of the day, she does provide that box of death to, again, keep a priority target locked in and at the least allow his team to follow up and chain CC like the Syndra ult or the Syndra ultimate after a stun, or the Sejuani ultimate, a Thresh hook. He, at the very least, he'll be able to provide that to his team, if nothing else. And so it's maybe a cause for concern that he may not be able to carry like he did on the Fiora, but he still does provide some good utility with the long range gap close and the CC that he can set up on that champion.
As we're loading in, let's look at the skins. Looks like poor writer Sejuani. I don't really approve of that. I like the Bear Cavalry personally.
I'm a big fan of traditional Sejuani. The one that you got if you had Sejuani before the rework. I think it looks a lot like a Viking, and I'm a big fan of the show Viking, so I'm a big fan of traditional Sejuani. Not a big fan of Snow Day Syndra either. I think it's a little bit of a cliche skin. I like Justicar, the golden one. Warring Kingdoms Azir is probably my favorite Azir skin.
Striker on Super Galaxy Rumble.
That's the only Rumble skin to use, if we're being honest, right?
Unless you're jungle, then you use Rumble in the jungle.
Right, but only if you're jungling with Rumble. The Braum skin, let's see. I think you use...
That's the Lionheart one. The one that looks awkward in the loadout.
I think you gotta use the wrestling one.
Oh, 100% with the steel chair.
Yeah, if you don't use the wrestling one, although you can use Santa Brom during the winter seasons. I like Santa Brom in the winter seasons, but the rest of the year, I think you got to use the wrestling Brom.
It appears that in the all chat, Striker actually took AP runes last game. We cannot confirm the what's the word I'm looking for? The legitimacy of this. But he took biscuits, which makes me wonder if he went Thunderlords instead of Deathfire Touch. Now I believe that actually sets him back if he did take the wrong keystone. Because Deathfire Touch on Rumble really hurts in the early game.
So that might be just enough of an error to allow Foley to survive the laning phase. Although it still is a very tough matchup for most melee champions to play into Rumble.
Very annoying, I will say that. Whenever I saw Rumble picked in one of my solo queue games, I kind of rolled my eyes at it. Just really frustrating. It'll get even more frustrating level 3. Because one thing that Striker is really good at with that champion is keeping his heat exactly at 50%, which is where you get the most efficiency. Looks like they're just ignoring each other top, just farming the minions.
Also, having a champion like that can put out that much pressure and doesn't have a mana bar, extremely frustrating to play against.
Yes. The flame will miss, but the hook will land. Zerobi and Co got the level 2 first, which is what we talked about in Champion Select. That bot lane combo is just brutal. The heal was used from Luktor in that exchange. Looks like they're going for more.
Silver really showing why that Thresh is a priority pick for him. Just setting up small little skirmishes and chunks on Anger Ranger, making his life difficult in the bot lane.
Striker will flash, but PSM Batman won't get the knock up. He will have to flash away, otherwise he was going to face certain death. That was a gank that kind of backfired. Looks like Panther is on his way top lane. There is no ward in the river, so maybe he'll be able to sneak a gank off. Ooh. I think Foley... Okay.
Good job by Panther holding on to his Rupture, letting her use her wall jump first.
That was really well played from Panther. The first blood will go to the Cho'Gath. What's going on in the bot lane?
Isn't that 2 games in a row where first blood went to Cho'Gath? I believe it is.
It is. It was a very good gank path from TSM Batman to go for. Kind of a misplay. The one thing I would have done differently if I were him is I would have flashed and gotten the knock up. At that point, I think he would have killed Striker. And the first blood would have went to his team. It's like Call of Duty. Mistakes were made.
Right. Snowflake Gecko is putting down some punishment onto Eternal Shadows Azir. She is starting to build the CS lead. Right now it's about a wave and a half. And it's going to be interesting to see if Azir can get through his somewhat weak early game before he really gets that stinger into the Nashor's Tooth. It's when he really starts to kind of win the lane with his poke, because his soldiers can actually follow up the attack with from his Q. And so right now he's just got to weather the storm. I'm using that phrase a lot, but it's really true. That's kind of what you're doing whenever you're in a losing lane, or when you're at a power deficit in League of Legends. You're weathering the storm. We see them trade into the bot lane. However, a lot of the damage from Feathers is blocked up by Unbreakable. Exhaust goes down onto Zerobi. It's going to be just enough to save Brookter, but Panther is here.
He'll miss the rupture. He has to back off. However, in the top lane, we saw Striker get a solo kill on Foley. I'm gonna replay and see what happened exactly. Foley fighting Striker in the melee wave, minion wave. Getting poked down from the spellcasters. It was questionable to hook himself back into that. A huge misplay on his behalf.
Despite Zerobi and Silver having all the pressure,
good juke from Ruktor.
Ruktor is dead even in CS.
We had 3 mids. Snowflake Gecko had a burn flash. Striker already has his haunting guys, which is really good for him.
There's a good roam by Striker there too after he shoved out the wave, just going in to support Eternal. Because Eternal is falling pretty far behind in this matchup. About 2 waves worth of CS.
They say that 13 minions equals a kill. So essentially Snowflake Gecko is already up a kill in this lane. With the wave pushing to her. So if I'm Panther, I'm adding some resources into mid lane. Looks like he's walking bot though. With Ruktor not there, there really isn't much you can do. He must be trying to hold the lane. With the minions not even going to the tower though. Right. He lands the rupture. He'll just land her away. The rupture on the Zyra. Zerobi has to burn flash.
They do get Brahms passive off. Ruktor does pick up the kill.
That was very awkward considering Zerobi had heal. Did he lag?
I don't think he lagged. I just don't think they respected the fact that Twitch had just come back from a bye, and that damage that was going to come out was a BF sword Twitch.
It's extremely turn of events for Team Foley. With this bot lane matchup, this isn't one that you would want to fall behind. Like, you could always have picks, but I didn't think it was possible for this matchup to lose lane.
Azir with the barrier saves his life, and he is sitting on flashing red health bars.
Gotta get some last minions though.
I don't like the barrier choice against the Syndra. I definitely prefer exhaust. Batman lands a nice ultimate. Foley has trapped Striker in the death box. Panther comes to get a return kill onto the Sejuani. Noms are up, so that is another nom that he can get off minions and save that nom later in the game.
The crunch. Now Panthers is gonna should run down Foley. Foley has no mana, has no business being there. Panthers is gonna take advantage of that and get the flash out of Foley. So through that entire exchange bot lane, Zerobi was auto-attacking Ruktor and Ruktor was hitting the minions. I think Ruktor was lagging too.
Hopefully that's not. Oh, it's. They are saying in all chat that it is lag. Unfortunately, we are having a few lag issues in this game. Hopefully, it's not anything that really determines the game one way or another. It may sway some leads, and that's understandable. But hopefully, it doesn't outright determine a team fight.
Very good ward coverage in the bottom quadrant of the jungle that Team Striker has. They have a potential pick on TSM Batman, but I think he's going to be able to get away. Panther is walking into Silver State. The odds are in their favor. They'll get the pick on TSM Batman. Looks like they're winning more. The Braum ult will miss. Zerobi
was-
has a proper escape route.
This is a
But
very
you know that
nice ult by Eternal Shadow to make sure to get TSM Batman trapped over the wall and make it to where he had no escape route.
That was a very well played ultimate. As someone who doesn't really play mid lane champions, I kind of take things like an Azir ultimate, like a good Azir ultimate for granted. Or like the Talia knockup, which is apparently one of the hardest things to position in the game.
I will tell you from someone who tried to learn Talia when she was like one of the top tier meta picks. There's a reason I never played it in RPL. She's not good if you can't land that combo, and that combo is extremely hard to land.
What a rupture from Panther. The Lantern will survive though, so Zerobi will get out completely unharmed. The ruptures from Panthers are on fleek, I must say.
It's interesting to see how so far in both games it's been kind of a mirrored effort. Panther gets trapped under the tower. A good heal by Rookter and a flash by Panther saves his life.
That was extremely well played from Zerobi. Taking advantage of the champion's kit. Getting the tower aggro from the Cho'Gath. I think the spike was hitting the Xayah, which caught the tower aggro. So the root almost got them the kill. But the heal from Rookter saved the Cho'Gath's life.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Batman and Snowflake both ultimate Eternal Shadow, and he lives with a sliver of health as they try to walk away in style, but
they got the pick on Anger Ranger.
Batman does dive and follows it through to make sure they get the kill. Leaves with low health, and then Snowflake finds Anger Ranger trying to ward.
Now to put some attention to the top lane, just looking at the items. We see the Hex Drinker out from Foley. The standard item if you're a bruiser to rush against Rumble. Striker, he has his Seeker's Arm Guard, which if you're an AP mage, you pretty much take that or rush that against an AD champion. This is too close to call, but it looks like Striker has the upper hand.
The thing about the Seeker's Arm Guard on Rumble, though, is it's a lot less punishing for him than it is a lot of other champions. You can build that pretty early on, because, again, going back to his champion kit, he doesn't use mana, whereas a lot of other mid laners have to build for sustaining their mana pool. Rumble doesn't have to do that, and so it's not nearly as punishing for him as it is some other mid lane or some other mage type champions. And as we look at the mid lane, we see that small exchange there, and it's kind of what I talked about in the mid game, where Azir does have that poke to where he can really just put some crazy damage down on the Syndra if they stay even heading into the mid game. But Syndra did get ahead, so now she can kind of ignore his damage because she just chunks him so hard that he has to respect that damage and has to play at a distance, using his max range to farm instead of to poke.
Looks like TSM Batman's trying to get a pick on Rico. He found access to the back line. His ultimate will miss. However, Zerobi will sneak a kill on Eternal Shadow. We have Striker
Rumble teleport going in
a little bit too late. Looks like they're trying to turn this fight around. The hook will land on Panther and he will go down. I was wondering why Striker wasn't ulting, but I just realized it was still on cooldown. There will be no equalizer this team fight, but only a dragon for Team Foley.
First dragon is an Ocean Drake, which I believe the first two dragons of last game were Cloud Drakes. the least exciting of the Drakes, so at least the Ocean will kind of give them some sustain in those back and forth skirmishes that we just saw, like in mid lane, where they kind of kite in and out of it, kind of help them out a little bit.
At least it wasn't a cloud break. No, that's a waste.
Unless you have a pick comp. If you have a pick comp or a split push comp, a Cloud Drake is probably your preferred Drake.
Yeah. It's like if you have a bunch of tanks, then you would want to have an Ocean Dragon too.
Right. I
That's a give
know.
or take.
I know on TLP when we run the 1-3-1s, we are either hoping for an Infernal or a Cloud. We don't really care so much about the mountains, just because we aren't trying to siege up or whatever. We're trying to rotate around the map quickly as possible, get damage on champions in our picks with the 1-3-1s or whatever. So I know the Cloud Drakes are a little bit more valuable to us than the Ocean or the mountain.
Looks like they're gonna get a kill on Striker. Very good gank from TSM Batman. Striker going a little bit too aggressive.
Trying to scare Panther away from the turret, but it's not going to work.
About the dragon, like hoping for an Infernal Dragon is like hoping for the top item on your Christmas list. Like everyone wants that. It's like I want a new Mercedes.
Yeah, I think it's not even a question that you prefer the Infernal over all other dragons. Although I could see a few compositions where if you were running something like maybe a Caitlyn and a Ziggs or something, you might prefer the Mountain Drake just to kind of ignore champions and just get that damage on the towers. But for the most part, I'd say 9 out of 10 times you are correct. Good lantern by Silver to get Syndra out of that awkward position. Make sure she doesn't go down with Eternal Shadow while Batman finishes him off with the help from Syndra. They are sieging here on the bot lane. They have 3 members strong, with Syndra rejoining them shortly after taking the blue buff.
Striker's still top lane for some reason. I guess they're gonna... TSM Batman's gonna send Foley to counteract Striker. Because in the 4v4 where you have the Sejuani, Syndra, Thresh, and Zaya, that easily beats the Azir, Cho'Gath, Braum, and Twitch. Especially with the leads that they have. If I'm Striker, I'm gonna give up the top tower and just push out mid and try to get a pick with my team.
Right, I think
keep them in the game.
The unfortunate part for Team Striker is the fact that their Cho is doing well, but he is a tank, so it's hard for him to put down damage. And then the area where they really have a strong advantage is the top lane, but Rumble wants to team fight. He doesn't want to split push. So the fact that TSM Batman and Foley have gotten it to where Foley can survive up here, it just kind of be that annoying little pest that doesn't necessarily beat Striker, but keeps Striker in top lane, is going to be a big benefit to Team Foley, because like you said, the 4v4 on the rest of the map does fall into Team Foley's favor.
It looks like we have Silver Spade coming up to the top lane, trying to rotate. Maybe make this a 5v5 because Foley has everything that he needs from this lane. He has the proper items to get out. However, it looks like Panther's been caught out from this bunch. He'll flash over. But it appears he'll see the light of day. Hey, what's going on here? Now Braum and Root are coming in. And they will turn this fight around. A double kill for Striker as he takes down Foley and TSM Batman.
Rooter
sneaking up on Silver Spade. He'll flash away. So I think this is actually really good for Team Striker. They're able to get Striker at a laning phase now. Perhaps there'll be a play for Baron. They have the damage and the health to do so.
Yeah, really good call by Team Striker to collapse around Striker And instead of letting those two just keep laning back and forth against each other, they make a play around their big source of power on the map and end up taking that tower out off of it.
Appears they're gonna reset instead, which is a good call with the River Scout still being up for Team Foley.
Oh, Eternal Shadow just sends his soldiers to do his work for him. Gets the kill on Zerobi.
There appears to be a lot of MIA ping on Eternal Shadow.
I don't think his team was maybe expecting him to have that kind of burst. Snowflake Gecko gets a
Striker 3-2-1 will go down.
Snowflake Gecko 5-0-3. Foley getting free uncontested damage on the top tower there. Trying to get some more gold in his team's pocket.
Meanwhile, while they dance around mid lane, Rookthor and Panther are doing the dragon. Since Team Foley has no vision on it, this will be free. Panthers will consume that. And that's actually, it's worth mentioning that the stacks and the bonus health he gets from epic monsters and eating minions in general are really good for helping him devour the 80 carry in one shot in the later game.
He is up to 5 stacks. So,
looking at the statistics, he hasn't eaten a champion yet, but he's almost max stacks when it comes to... Oh, he's eaten 1 champion. My apologies. But he can eat 1 more regular minion for that maximum health.
Eternal Shadow grabbed by a good hook by Silver Spade, catching him during all the confusion. Good ultimate by Striker, burning down Snowflake Gecko, but she has to flash out. Rookter arrives and to the party. Zerobi fancying his chances on that fight.
That was a very good ultimate from Zerobi there. Enough to turn the fight around. As Rooktor and Panther will go down. This is the second tier mid tower for Team Foley. Perhaps a Baron.
Zerobi getting hit up by the tower, almost dies.
Somehow the Rumble and the Rum and that siege, they'll just back off and reassess their situation. Ooh, Striker stopped Snowflake Gecko's back.
I really have to wonder why we haven't seen a Nashor's Tooth come out of Eternal Shadow yet. I feel like that's a big power spike, almost an essential item on an Azir. Although I am not the Azir main, I am just going off of what I typically build when I play him, and so by all means I could very well be wrong. We do see Anger Ranger trying to secure some vision around the Baron. I don't think his team is in position, and I see now why he went with the build path he did. The Q does do quite a big chunk. He's using it more of as a burst mage instead of a sustained damage mage at the moment. But back to the position of the map.
I actually dislike his Azir build path. I think that despite the damage that he was able to get, which led to solo killing Zerobi, the build path he took was extremely greedy. Especially when he's not snowballing. The Nashor's Tooth would have been better, or even a Banshee's Veil, because he was having an extremely hard time staying in lane against the Syndra.
I like the build I like is typically the Nashor's Tooth into a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so you get that nice sustained damage on someone that's tanky like Sejuani. Also add the slow to help your team kite. Snowflake Gecko pops him because he has no health, doesn't have the Banshee's Veil or the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. And Rooker gets rooted up by Zerobi's Root Collar. Can't follow through. Re-engaged by Silver Spade.
Silver Spade's Thresh is superb. Probably one of the best Thresh players that we have in this tournament.
And another hook on the Rooker.
Oh my.
Silver Spade setting them up and
I
Snowflake
actually
Gecko
think he's
knocking
taken
them
in the
down.
game. Wow. Oh, I guess they're gonna back off.
They
Maybe
do
a
respect
daring ball?
the Azir's ability to wave clear. I think they're just gonna back by and reset. Try to take out jungle on the way out, but it has been claimed up already, so there's nothing there for them to take.
I'm actually surprised that they chose to just back off after taking inhib. They could have at least gotten a Nexus tower from that. However, the safe call is always the best way to go when you have the lead that they do. Up 9,000 gold.
Eternal Shadow did have a lost chapter at one point. It looks like he sold it and has gone for a penetration item in the Void Staff. Not sure about his item pathing this game. I think he's probably hurting himself more than he's helping himself. He's been able to do some really cool fancy stuff like chunking out Snowflake Gecko, solo killing Zerobi, but overall, in the grand scheme of the game, I think he just hasn't spiked well at the times he's wanted to because of his build path.
He lost himself 600 gold selling that lost chapter in order to build that Void Staff. I'm confused as to why he built the Void Staff or felt the need to rush it when the only source of magic resist that they have is a Hex Drinker from Camille.
Yeah, I don't understand. I know
Rocket if you want to get nitty gritty, but still, that's very inefficient.
I mean, you do have the flat resist from Sejuani, but that's only while her passive is up. After her passive gets procced, she has very little magic resist. But looking at other item choices, Snowflake Gecko, very standard in her Syndra build, especially since she's ahead.
Looks like they have a pick on Striker. The hook will land and he will not be playing the game as he will go down. The Hourglass will come in, but that won't be enough to save him. And then the hook will land on Eternal Shadow, but they'll back off. Wonder what Silver Spade's hook ratio is this game.
Hook on Panther. Not normally the target you would want, but Team Foley is so far ahead. They got quite a bit of poke damage on the Panther.
Azir popping barrier. No back off. They have to give up that bottom tier tower. However,
Looks like very shortly the top tower will fall to minions. So Team Foley did a good job of prepping their minion waves beforehand.
I'm actually surprised they backed off.
Unfortunate by Snowflake Gecko. I know she was trying to get some damage in, but it looked throwing that ultimate into the Unbreakable, not the place you want to do it. Ooh, nice two-man stun by Snowflake Gecko. Good follow-up by Batman. Then get the ult on the Azir. Foley's in deep.
Foley is at a position and he will go down the resource. So Flash Rupture will miss.
Jerobi getting out a lot of damage as he kites back, though.
Oh my, where did TSM Batman go?
A big burst damage from the Azir build that we were ridiculing earlier.
Jerobi with the cleanup. He will go down. But to finish it all off, Panthers will go down to Snowflake Gecko. 12-0-7, and they'll get that second tier tower and the second inhibitor in the bot lane. And that is the inhib that they want to have, considering Baron is still up. And it puts them in good position. Wow. Wait, maybe I was wrong about that build pad. Where did she go?
Again, I think it does some cool stuff. It shows off some neat burst, but I still think it's not the most efficient build pad. I think he could have built a little bit better.
In the span of a second, Azir did 900 damage. Was able to finish off and get the shutdown.
We do see they're joking about it in all chat. Some nice friendly banter, talking about the pop that we just saw from Eternal Shadows Azir. But that ruins the perfect game for Snowflake Gecko. She is now 12-1-7. That is the only blemish on her record so far this game. Although Team Foley still does have a perfect game in the works, quietly being built up by Silver Spade's Azir. So there still is hope for that perfect game on the side of Team Foley. Although it has been very impressive to watch Snowflake Gecko Syndra. She is a part of 20 of the 23 kills so far. Rookter takes the red buff, but loses his life for it and transfers it over to Zerobi anyway.
The buff transfer is completed. The buff transfer has been completed, and that is completed.
Looks like they're turning their eyes towards Baron with both Rookter and Angle Ranger in the Death Chamber. Silver Spade zoning.
Panthers doesn't have Flash. There really isn't much she can do in this situation, especially with no Blast Cone. So if you're Team Foley, what do you do now to close this game out?
I think you used... Well, Batman had the idea of going in on the Azir. Unfortunately,
looks like they're gonna Tyler win it and just run it down mid.
Yep, they're just gonna brute force their way to the win.
Zerobi's damage is just insane. Absolutely obliterates Root Door. Striker will go down after using Hourglass.
Valiant effort on Striker's part. He does almost burn Zerobi down, but that is the gold difference right there at work. And it looks like this is it, folks. Just Panther left, and even though he could sustain and absorb a lot of their damage.
15 seconds. Team Foley with the 2-0 sweep over Team Striker.
All right, we will be right back. I think do you want to see if we can get an interview with the MVP of that game? First of all, we have to decide an MVP, but is that something that you would like to do, Striker, since it is a Hall of Fame game, it is something special, try and get the MVP. Sorry, I keep doing that. And I do apologize every time. It's, again, the caster's curse. I was dead to you long ago when you 3-0'd us in finals. I was dead a lot. But anyway, I'm going to mute my mic and see if we get a MVP interview going for those two games.
So who do we feel is MVP, first of all?
I know Snowflake Gecko had some shiny stats in that second game, but... And I might be biased, but I do think my MVP is Silver Spade.
That was my MVP.
The Bard ults in the first game to disengage, allow his team to kite back. The Thresh hooks in the second game. I really think he set up a lot of what his team did. I think Silver Spade is my MVP for the series, and you seem to agree.
Yes, it was a very well played effort on both parts, but I have to agree with you. Silver Spade definitely carried the game and initiated a lot of plays in the first two games. Snowflake Gecko had the KDA for it, but Silver Spade was just extremely efficient. So let's get him in here.
All right, let's do it. Probably gonna need some help from one of the admins since this is a locked channel. If one of you all could drag Silver Spade up here, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm gonna message Striker for that, not Spoder, who's my casting partner. Gotta get that correct.
This Hall of Fame game was sponsored by Doritos.
What's going on, Silver? You guys just 2-0'd, and did it have first question I want to ask is, did it feel good to beat your teammate in the Hall of Fame game? Did it feel good to stick it to Panther?
I was honestly pretty salty after he killed me game one, whenever he caught me out in the jungle, but I think we picked him up in that fight as well. But the endless ganks bottom were tilting us a little bit. We felt like it was a 2v3, especially that second game.
He does tend to put a lot of pressure towards his bot lanes. Now, tell us about something like in this Hall of Fame game. You guys obviously haven't played together as a group of 5 before going into this. What is champ select like for you guys? Are you more just prioritizing comfort picks? Or are you trying to set up any sort of a team comp with synergies? Or how does champ select work for you in a Hall of Fame game?
We talked a lot about the bans and trying to get people off their comfort picks there. Game one was largely about comfort picks for everyone. I don't think we swapped at all. Maybe the top and the jungler. But game two, we tried to go with more of a strategy. We talked a little more, tried to communicate a little better. So it's just playing with people you've never played with before. So it took some getting used to.
One of the reasons you were named MVP by Spoder and myself was because of a lot of the little things that you did that maybe aren't necessarily recognized by most of the viewers. For example, your hooks on the Thresh really set up a lot of those kills that Snowflake got. She did a great job following up, but you were the setup man for a lot of those fights in the mid game. And then in the first game, the real moment that really stuck out to me in this entire series was around that Infernal Drake. They tried to dive you, which their comp wanted to do, but you hit a really impactful Bard ultimate that allowed your team to kite back and reset the fight. Tell me what goes into play like that. Does that just go back to comfort picks, or are you communicating, kite back? What's going on during those moments?
I think we were trying to just stall out for the dragon, and then I found a moment where I could hit 3 or 4 of them with my ultimate, so I did that. And then I'm not sure, one of them kept chasing towards us, so we got a pick there and then just ran them down, essentially. But game one, I'll have to give credit to my ADC's Roby for dodging everything they threw at him, or at least being able to survive a lot of it. If he was not Ez, they burned every single ult on him, pretty much every fight. So kudos for him to make it out alive and be able to damage like he did.
All right. So give him major props to Roby. My final question, sorry, Spoder, to keep interrupting you. I'll hand it over to you in just a second. My final question, any other players you particularly enjoyed playing with in the Hall of Fame game tonight?
No, not a one.
There, you heard it. He does not like the other 3 of you.
They're all a bunch of good guys and girls for our mid lane. So I'd do it again. We were talking about beating the casters next, actually.
I'm not sure we would throw much of a challenge. I'm known to feed to win, so...
You're known to do 3k damage with Echo in the finals? Anyway.
Very true.
Silver Spade. How does it feel to be on the reverse end of a sweep? You got 3-0'd in the finals, you're able to come back, and you're able to 2-0. How do you feel?
I mean, I was just here to have fun tonight. So feel okay. Feel about how I came whenever I walked into this. So
Spoder throwing salt in both his co-caster and the MVP's wounds.
it feels pretty good to be Rookter, though.
Everyone likes beating Rookter. Now, what scripts do you use for your thresh hooks? That's what I want to know.
All right. The most important script is you just have to push Q, and you just keep throwing them in the direction towards them.
He just pushes Q.
Yeah.
So
that's
for
all you
you
gotta do.
thresh players out there, if you're not pressing Q, you're not doing it right.
Oh, and this is essential. You have to have your flash on D.
All right. Now that's debatable. F is for flash.
Well,
Now,
thank you.
Well played. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Silver Spade, for joining us. I think that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Caster's Desk. Do you have any final words for the viewers out there, Spoder?
Not at all. GGWP.
GGWP, well, indeed. Join us here. Is it next week that the season kicks off, or is it 2 weeks from now? Do you
It is
have
next
final
week.
words? So next Saturday, the season will kick off with both Gold Prestige and Gold Championship diving into action. Be there, and let's start our exciting fall season of RPL. Thank you once again. This is Toe Knuckle signing off for both myself and Spoder.